And Shane also comes in with this question. And at this point, this is before we jumped on the air, didn't know who necessarily was going to be the analyst, but says, hey, Mark, don't know which Miami YouTuber you're going to have on, but questions, number one, season predictions. Okay, Shane, we'll always answer your super chat and your questions and so forth, but that's a little bit jumping the gun for me, at least. Number two, defensive outlook, personnel, schemes, coaching, etc. heading into the season. A lot to take on there.
I love this. All right, let's get it. Okay, first part of your question here. I have in my belief that Miami is anywhere between a 9-4, because I'm including us going to the ACC championship game in this.
Okay.
So I have us as either a 9-4 or 10-3 type of team. Okay. That's where I have. Phil B, go somewhere else. We don't care about you and your team. Your live was last night. Continue the rest of your day on someone else's live. Thank you. Anyway, that's where I had this Miami Hurricanes team until proven otherwise. I was more of a 8-5 kind of guy, Mark, which I didn't even think 8 wins was going to get us. So I was really 8-4 in my opinion. But after watching the spring game and understanding here, Mark, we had 16 starters out. If anybody else watches college football, other spring games, some of your better players and having injuries is just what happens. So there's still no excuse to have a sloppy spring game, right? I watched Georgia. They didn't even have a running back in the game. Guys are hurt or and that's all type of crazy crap happening with that, right? That's number one. Number two, Alabama had almost 20 guys out. So all of James fans, well, Bama doesn't look that good. Listen, man, there's still going to be Alabama. Of course, I'm not running from nobody. We're going to line up and we're going to play football. At the end of the day, you still have to line up, and game is scheduled. You're going to get on a plane. Tickets have already been bought. Your uniform are going to be made, and you're going to show up and play the freaking football game. It's just that simple. I'm not scared of nobody, but you have to understand that we're going up against the best program in college football. That's just that simple. Simple. Okay? But all these people had guys out. Their game still looked a little iffy. Turn on the Miami game. In the one position we seem to have right with our two backups is quarterback. The offensive line looked pretty well. First and second team. Now, if you're comparing that to Alabama's offensive line who had to go up against the elite defensive line, that's your discretion if you really want to have that type of conversation and cross-examine where the programs are on two different levels right now. Here's us, here's them. Okay, there's a pretty big gap in between where we are. But still, I appreciated every single thing I watched in that game, Mark. It showed me that Miami is starting to build a true program. All those things I asked you about, a well-oiled machine, I didn't really necessarily see it, but I saw something close. I wanted to see the offensive line work as a unit, Mark. I got that checked off too. I wanted to see the wide receivers show us something. They did. Two guys showed us they still are who they are, but they can still make plays. And that we've over-recruited them. So if they don't work out, you know what? Here's a place right on the bench for us. We'll see you when we get to third and long. Okay? So I say all of that to say this season is very important. I saw a lot that makes me excited for what we're going to do. You cannot allow that first game to determine the rest of your season, win or draw or loss. That's it. And there's no draws in college football. So win or lose. We'll be there to midnight. Listen, go back to Texas A&M, LSU a couple years ago, 80-something to 70-something. They'll put the ball on it gets to the point when you get to like 8th or 9th overtime, they'll put the ball at the 2, and everybody gets one down. Okay, it gets big time once you get further and further into overtime, all right? You cannot allow that to ruin or even make you overestimate yourself to. Here's why I say that, Mark. Let's say, for example, Miami wins a close game, 34-31, right? We're jumping up and down. We're running down the field. We going nuts. We go on this 4-game win streak. After that, we go to our bye week, and we're at Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and they beat us by 10. Because we've gotten to the point where we start smelling ourselves again. All right? Or Miami loses to Alabama. Miami wins against Coastal, Cincy, whatever they got going on, and we're going to play after that. And then Miami goes and loses by a late field goal to Michigan State because they're still down in the dumpster from losing to Alabama. Right? You cannot allow that game to make or break your season either way. It's just that simple. And being able to show up and play 4 whole quarters at a high level, it doesn't have to be you go to OT, but to be able to play at a high level, Mark, and we'll get into that question later on you got for me and answer why I say that about first, second half for this Miami Hurricanes team. Okay. So that's my whole schedule outlook. Anywhere from 9-4, 10-3, somewhere in there, including the championship game. I'm not including the bowl game because I don't know where we would go from there.